On January 15th, 2009, New York City was wrapped in the bitter cold of winter. For most, it was just another ordinary day. But for the 155 people who boarded U.S. Airways Flight 1549, that day would become one of the most unforgettable in aviation history. The flight was supposed to be simple, a short trip from LaGuardia Airport to Charlotte, North Carolina. Businessmen, families, and travelers found their seats, chatting, checking phones, and flipping through magazines. At the front of the cockpit sat Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger, a veteran pilot with decades of experience, and beside him, First Officer Jeffrey Skiles, flying the Airbus A320 on one of his first assignments. Just after 3:25 in the afternoon, the plane took off. Within minutes, it pierced the skyline above the Bronx, engines roaring as it climbed. But then, suddenly, disaster struck. A flock of Canada geese smashed into the aircraft. Both engines failed almost instantly, leaving the plane in complete silence. Inside, alarms blared, and the Airbus became nothing more than a glider over one of the most densely populated cities in the world. Sully and Skiles had less than 4 minutes to make a choice. At only 3,000 feet, there was no room for error. LaGuardia was too far. Peterborough Airport was unreachable. With Manhattan straight ahead, every second counted. And then Sully made his decision. Over the radio, his words were calm but chilling. "We're going to be in the Hudson." In the cabin, passengers realized what was happening. Some cried, others prayed. Some simply held the hands of the strangers beside them. Through the windows, the Hudson River stretched below, gray and frozen in the winter air. Water landings were almost always catastrophic. But Sully stayed focused. He guided the powerless plane over the George Washington Bridge, clearing it by less than 900 feet. Seconds later, the jet slammed into the river. The impact was violent, but the aircraft remained intact, floating like a giant raft. Against all odds, the impossible had happened. Inside the cabin, chaos erupted. Flight attendants shouted commands. Passengers rushed toward exits, climbing onto the wings and sliding into life rafts. The icy January water soaked through shoes and clothes as people struggled to stay calm. Within minutes, ferries, police boats, and helicopters raced to the scene. New Yorkers, stunned at the sight of an airplane resting in the river, watched rescue crews pull people to safety. And one by one, every single passenger was saved. 155 souls survived. The world quickly called it the miracle on the Hudson. But while the public marveled at the survival story, investigators wanted answers. Could Sully have turned back to LaGuardia? Could he have landed at another airport? Simulators suggested maybe. But when human reaction time was factored in, the truth was undeniable. The Hudson was the only option. Sully's decision had been the only correct one. Overnight, Captain Sullenberger became a global hero. His calm voice, his steady hand, his refusal to panic, all became symbols of leadership under pressure. Yet, Sully himself was humble. He credited his co-pilot, his crew, the first responders, and the passengers who held their composure in those critical moments. The miracle on the Hudson is now taught in aviation schools around the world. It is remembered not as a lucky break, but as an example of what happens when experience, training, and courage come together. 155 people boarded a plane expecting nothing more than a routine flight. What they received was a second chance at life. And the world received a reminder that even when everything fails, even when the engines go silent, hope and human skill can carry us through.